Good morning, gang. How are you this morning? It's one of those days today. It's a weekend. Not that I know much about weekends, but here we are. Now, because I had the kind of upbringing I did, and because I had the kind of mother that I had, everybody was very used to cooking and bottling and preserving, because it wasn't any. When I was a child, we didn't have a fridge or a freezer. We had an ice chest. So you had a little kind of an insulated box with an insulated ice chest on the top, and a guy used to come every few days, I think, and he would deliver a big block of ice like this, which would sit in the top of the refrigerator, and it would drip through. So keeping things cold was better than a Coolgardie Safe, but it didn't freeze things. Nowadays we have freezers, but back then Mum used to preserve and stew and do all those kind of things and make jam and dry stuff. We don't do much of that today unless we do it with electrical appliances. If you've got a Thermomix, for instance, you might think it does a lot of things, but it doesn't freeze, it doesn't dry, it doesn't inspire you to do the things that will help you to save money with your fruit. Now, these are fruits from my own garden. I hope you can see that. I'll just turn the light on. Is that easier? Yes. So these are plums from my own garden. I didn't get as many as I would have liked. I went there on the Friday evening, and the tree was pretty much laden, and I thought, wow, I'm going to get a lot of fruit from that. But when I went back the next day, the cockatoos had taken most of it, but I did get enough that for the last week I just took everything off the tree, even if it wasn't ripe, and I have had it in a big bowl on my desk, and as I passed by I would have one. And I thought, well, I really should do something with them. I didn't want to make jam because I got enough jam, and plum jam for me isn't inspiring, and I've got lots of chutneys, so I thought I would just do some stewed plums. And I was talking to some students, young students, about it, and they said, oh, that's interesting, how do you stew plums? I never thought to tell you folks how to stew plums. I thought you'd know how to do that. Anyway, so I'm going to show you how to stew plums. Nothing could be simpler. I did it while I was washing the dishes. Okay, so here's my stewed plums in a little $2, well, you can get a pack of 5 for $2 of these plastic things in Coles, and they're just the most beautiful size for 1 or 2 persons, and that's got stewed plums in it. Now what I did was I took 20 plums and I put them in there. This is my handy everything jar. If I dropped this and it broke, which is unlikely to do because it's Pyrex, then I would need to get another one the same day, because I use this for everything. It's very worn and it's very loved, and I use it as a pot and a pan because I don't have a stove. Okay, so as I said, I put 20 of those in there, and then I put about, it's an inch of water, about that much water in there, and then I put it into the microwave. I didn't put a lid on it. I put it into the microwave for 7 minutes. I could have put it in there for 6, it would have been enough, but I put it in there for 7. And then I took it out, I let it stand for a minute just to cool down a little. And then I put the plums into here, and I marked on the front. I didn't use sugar because I don't know what I'm going to do with them, and sometimes people come and they don't want sugar, or they want honey, or they want this. Or I think Jesus would have had a hard time if he was feeding the 5,000 nowadays, because, you know, the loaves and the fishes really wouldn't have gone down well. You would have needed gluten-free loaves, and some people wouldn't have wanted fish. Anyway, so those are the little servings. So I just decanted from my big thing into there, and I put them in the freezer. That is how to do stewed fruit. Pears are my next go-to. I've got a whole lot of pears in the fridge waiting to be done, and I think that I'll do exactly the same thing with those. And I have some leftovers for me to pick on during the day, and I have some fluid because I didn't use all of the liquid. I just took the plums out and put them in there, and a little bit of liquid. The balance of the liquid I've got in this jar, and I'm not sure how I will use it, but I'll probably put it into rum toff, or mix something in with it and make it into something nice. I'll show you when I do. So there we are. Simple, simple, simple. It's going to be simple in my kitchen because I don't have a Thermomix. I don't have a lot of appliances because I don't want one. Eddie. This is my chopping board, and when you turn it over, look, it is a herb chopping board. So I use it as a trivet, you know, to serve things on. I use it as my chopping board. It's a gorgeous little size, and it is a herb chopping board, and I have one of those rocker blades that I use for chopping herbs, which is good. So there we are. Simple, simple, simple. You don't need to go overboard to do cooking. You don't need to go overboard to preserve and stew. And you know, even if you just went to your local greengrocer, or even to Coles or Woolies, and they had specials on things, sometimes I go in there and they're chucking stuff out for $1 a bag. And I pick them up and bring them home, and they're just enough to do a couple of those. It doesn't look like much, but it will save you money. You know, if you've got fruit in your freezer, you've got dessert in your freezer. Even if it's just for you, I cook for one. And so this is enough for 2 desserts if I decide to have it in dessert, or I could have it with yogurt and a slice of toast for a lunch. I eat what's around. I don't say, oh, well, you know, it's lunchtime, I've got to have, what does it say on the chart? No. I just eat what is useful to eat and what I feel like. I make yogurt. I'll show you how to do that. I've got the kombucha. I make my bread. That's got to happen this afternoon. This pot here is hair. I swap darning. I do darning for one of my students, and luckily her husband is a good shot and he shoots hair. And so I'm going to do jugged hair, which is a really old English recipe. I'm going to do that with the hair when it's cooked enough, because hair takes a lot of cooking. So all the things I do are really old recipes, but they're so useful. And I'm doing a booklet, because I do have a book on Etsy called, what's it called now? Rose Petal Jam. And so that's volume 1. And I'm going to do Windfalls, I think I'm going to call it Windfalls or something like that, and Rose Petal Jam, and that will be volume 2. And I'll have jugged hair, and I'll have stewed plums, and I'll have carrot marmalade, and all those things that you don't think about will be in this edition. The last edition, I was on the farm when I wrote it, so it's all farm kind of stuff, and it shows you how to make teas and how to collect herb for teas.